On Spurs, though, they are linked with Nagelsmann. The report that's come out this afternoon from Germany is that the manager is open to joining, but is unlikely to do it quickly, as he is waiting on the potential of Real Madrid or Chelsea to come in for him in the summer. Is that I want to go to Nobbins first, because Nobbins ain't spoke yet, and we're 33 minutes in.
Hello.
I know you're a Spurs fan, but Nagelsmann, is he the right type of manager for Tottenham, and do you think they'll get him?
I guess it depends what you want. I think that Sava made the overarching point that it doesn't really matter who comes into Spurs. That if Spurs want to win a league title, for example, it's probably not going to happen regardless of who you bring in, bar some sort of unbelievable outlier season like a Leicester season, for example. Spurs have like the 5th highest wage bill in the Premier League, and they're currently 4th in the table, so that tracks. If they want to win the league, they're going to have to spend more money, essentially. So is Nagelsmann the right man? Could be, but is he the right man to win Spurs a trophy, the league title? No, I don't think anyone is, unless there is a plan to actually invest properly. And it's a shame, I think, because I don't know what Savra and George's thoughts are on the Spurs squad as a whole. But as an outsider looking in, I feel like there is a team there, but they do need a keeper and like 3 centre backs. So there is a lot of money to be spent there. But I think
that's almost half a team there.
But I think the front 3 is good. I think the midfield is Bentancur's injury is obviously bad, but I think with Pedro Porro, he might be a good player. The main issue is the defense and goalkeeper for me, and that might be why maybe they could go for players. Conte, I mean, I know he's not there anymore, but if he was still there, players like the Bastoni and Skriniar, who I think their contracts are coming up at Inter Milan, for example. So that's sort of like league title winning players on a Spurs budget, but the issue is that those players are few and far between. And I think Skriniar might be going to PSG, for example. So it's a tricky one. No idea if the Nagelsmann news. I don't know how concrete that is. I'd like to see him in the Premier League, but I would. They've had Mourinho, didn't work, and they've had Conte, didn't work. Is Nagelsmann going to come in and make it work in that respect? I'm not sure.
Do you know what's interesting? Before I go to the Spurs fans, I get a lot of stick for always sticking it to Spurs, but I think Nagelsmann would be sensational for them. I actually think someone who is a project manager, somebody that, look, whether they give him the tools to win a Premier League is another conversation. But I think he's the kind of person that can give you a chance of winning a trophy with what you spend on players and the individuals that you have. I think he's somebody that wouldn't do what Jose and Conte does, where they get angry if they're not being bought the very best players out there. I think he'd look at a signing like a Jed Spence as an absolute piece of brilliant business, someone that he could develop and turn into a better football player. And equally, I think it's a great move for Nagelsmann, because I think Bayern Munich probably did. I think Bayern Munich came a bit too early for him. He's young. He's too young. And I don't mean this bit to sound rude, but I think Spurs is a great stepping stone for him as well. I think it's a great place for him to go, be exposed to more pressure from the media, from the scrutiny of the Premier League, more eyes watching you than the Bundesliga, and to really develop himself. And maybe after that, move on to something else if Spurs are not in the position to help him achieve his ultimate goals. And I think he's still only, 34, 35 years of age. This man's younger than me. It's crazy when I talk about a manager who's younger than I am, but I think it'd be a bit of sensational business. What's your thoughts on it, George? Is this the guy you want, or is it somewhere else that you would like?
No, I agree. I think he's my number one man for Tottenham's replacement. We looked at him a few years ago, I believe, for the Poch replacement, Jose, one of them. It was definitely Poch. And he was my number one guy. I thought he was the guy that we should have brought in to change him, but we just couldn't get it done because of Bayern Munich. Like you said, I think he went to the big job just a bit too quick. I feel like Tottenham is the club that works for him. Like you said, it's a stepping stone. I agree. It is a stepping stone in his career. He's a young manager. He needs a club where he can build at. And we're the perfect club for that. We're in a position where we need to strip up the team. We need a rebuild. And we probably need to give a manager a 4-year contract where we're just going to let them we're going to give them the time. We're going to give them the time to build what they want and to put a real project and their stamp on this team. So I'm looking forward to that. I just hope that we can give him, like you said, the tools to do his job to the best of his ability, because most of the managers that come to Tottenham don't get the tools from the board. But if he does, because he's a bit more patient, he's not like Conte and Jose. I don't feel like he's going to be as demanding. He's not going to want as much change as soon as they would. So if they can work out a nice balance and we can give him what he wants whilst also work in the Levy way, which we'll have to accept, I think it will be a good appointment. I think he plays some great football. It'll be attractive to the Tottenham fan base. And yeah, I definitely think he's the best option for us, being a young manager and someone that still has a lot to show. He's still got a lot to prove. So no, I'm all for Nagelsmann.
I get that. Are you excited about this, Sava, or are you grumpy about it?
When is Sava excited?
You're on mute, bro, by the way.
First of all, I'll disregard that little dig by Jules, who doesn't know a single thing about me. But okay, listen, Nagelsmann is the reason. Managers like that are the reason of what I was brought up on at Spurs. So when I get all these jokers saying, you're grumpy, you're grumpy. Yeah, I'm grumpy because all of these pragmatic, tactical managers have come in that you all love off, that come in, don't do a single thing for the fans, and then we go, they're going to win. They're so good. They're winners. No, let's get a manager that's forward-thinking, wants to play some football, is coming with some fresh ideas for this century, not last century. Yeah, managers that have more than one formation, i.e. Conte, the dinosaur Conte, 3-4-3, win, lose or draw, 3-4-3, 3-4-3, never change it up. Nagelsmann in his last 4 games at Bayern Munich tried 4 different formations if you go back and look at it, right? I would love that. He won't need the £70 million centre-back that Antonio Conte craves. He'll play with Papa Sarr, a youngster, Pedro Porro and Udogie as attacking fullbacks, Christian Romero, Kulusevski, Basuma. There's the nucleus there of some good, young, hungry players with a good engine. So get him in. Where I do agree with George is, yeah, this next manager that comes in, it needs to be 4 to 5 years. The Spurs fans need to be patient. The Spurs fans need to realise that the moment top 4 drifts away from their sight and they go, oh my God, we've got to sack him because we want top 4, just realise this is a process. We're building. Nagelsmann will build. Conte's not a builder. So this, for me, is complete utopia compared to Antonio Conte. So I'm all for it.
Terry, I think as well, you hit the nail on the head with the word project manager. I think for Spurs, you do need that. You need a project because you need to rebuild. And I think Tom said it earlier, you need a reset. You have to have that reset. And like it's like when you had Poch got you from effectively comical to in the Champions League final. That's the sort of manager, and Nagelsmann gives me that vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like he definitely needs to have a project, people he can believe in. He can find the young youth players. He can cultivate them into the type of player he wants. So I think a big good signing. I think it would actually be a good addition for you, to be honest. But I think you need to get away from trying to get that elite manager to come in when you don't have the players and the mentality of the players to come in and emulate him. And I think that was sort of your downfall with Conte, personally.
I can't lie. I'm still yet to be moved by Nagelsmann. I think he's one of the more overrated managers in the world at the minute. I really think that he gets a lot of praise for being young. But when it comes down to it, in the big moments, when he needs to prove his worth as a manager, he crumbles. I've seen him, albeit I haven't watched as much Bundesliga, but I watched a lot of him when he was at Leipzig, because there was a belief that he was going to be our next manager. Thank God for that. He's not happening. And then I watched him at Bayern, because this season, Sadio Mane went over there, so I decided, I'll have a look there. At RB Leipzig, the man held 5 to an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer United. He held 4 to one of the worst Liverpool sides I've ever seen. His teams are not set up to defend; they're set up to just attack. So there's often games where it's shootouts, which I don't think is a sustainable style of football. Yes, he can cultivate young talent, but if you're not going to bring in the young talent, then what are you going to cultivate? You're not going to be able to shift the deadwood, so he's going to have to deal with those. This is a manager who has had very limited success. Very limited success. I don't believe he would have won the Bundesliga title this year. I thought it was too inconsistent.
Sorry, has he again? If you look at his career, he started at Hoffenheim at the age of 28 and took them over in a relegation battle.
Yep.
Won 7 out of 14 games to steer them clear. The next season, he took them from a relegation battle to top 4. playing really good football, took them into the Champions League, then got the move to RB Leipzig, who I think everyone recognised as being a very good football team. He's gone to Bayern Munich in his first big job, won the double, and this year they're 1 point off the top.
He didn't win the DFB Pokal.
Okay, sorry, won the league, right? And then this season he's played 8 Champions League games, winning 8 Champions League games, beaten Barcelona twice, Inter Milan twice, and PSG twice. So when you're saying he doesn't do it in the big moments, how many big moments has he really had to do it in his career?
Let's look at it this way.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
But Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig, he was expected to go into that Leipzig team and win a trophy. I'm not going to say win the title because, it's Bayern Munich. They were still the superior side. But he was expected to go in and win a trophy. He didn't. But he still got the move to Bayern. He's now at Bayern. He won the league last year. Well done. Didn't win the DFB Pokal, which is poor by Bayern standards. This year, was going to miss out on the title against Borussia Dortmund, I do believe.
They're only 1 point behind, right? That's like a draw. They're 1 point off the top with 10 games to go.
Again, yeah, that's fine. I believe he wasn't going to win that title in the same way that I don't believe that Manchester City are going to win this title. I don't believe that Bayern were going to win that title. So I don't think he would have won that title. Maybe he would have won the Pokal. I can't lie. I haven't checked if they're still in the Pokal or not. Maybe they would have won that. But I don't believe he was getting past Manchester City in the Champions League either. Because let's be honest, it gets to the Champions League. He will be tactically outclassed by Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. And they will crumble on it. This is a manager who, yes, he's young. Yes, he's got potential. But that's what he's living off as a manager right now. I've not seen any tactical analysis. I've not seen him go into a properly big game against a team he wasn't expected to beat or was expected to be a close game. Because let's not lie and act like PSG was going to be close. We all knew by getting past PSG. So, I don't believe he's that good of a manager. In the same way that I'd never believed Hansi Flick was that good of a manager. So we're looking at it now. Yes, he might be the perfect Tottenham manager because he's young, he's a project manager, he plays a little bit of nice football. But that's not moving the needle for me. That's not moving the needle. And if he's a stepping stone manager, then what do? Because there's no other manager in the world who plays the same style as him. So guess what? You're going to be in the same situation once he leaves for Real Madrid, because that's his dream job. Let's say he gets that move to Real Madrid. He goes there.
Why would he? He's not a good manager, according to you. Why is he going to Real Madrid?
I don't believe he is, but Real Madrid have him on their shortlist. They've had him on their shortlist for years. Again,
if he goes to Real Madrid, he's got to be pretty good.
Yeah, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, but he's not a good manager.
I don't believe he is, no.
I guarantee you one thing, though. If he does Bayern Munich and then Spurs and Real Madrid, I bet when you look at his CV, the only place he doesn't win a trophy is Spurs.
I don't believe he is.
I want to go to some of the super chats. Before I do that, I want to say to the viewers, if we hit 750 likes while we're live, we're going to gift out up to 53 memberships to you, the viewers, to you. So get hitting that like button. It costs you nothing to do and free to enter. You just got to make sure you're hitting that like button.